Florida's Space Coast, this is your career.
Welcome to Your Career. I'm Debbie Featherston, your host, and with me tonight is Jay Forte. And Jay is the president of the Forte Factor. We are here to talk about careers in talent development. Both of us work in talent development,
Right.
so I'm so delighted to have your perspective because I really appreciate the work that you do in this field. And as a certified coach and a nationally ranked thought leader in this field, I'd love you to describe the role of talent development and its benefit to organizations.
Talent development used to be known as HR for the most part. Now we have a different mindset. We look now at our people not just as the people who do jobs, but the talents, the abilities, the things that are unique about them that then drive the success of the organization. So I love that we've changed the language and that we now call this process talent development. Talent is the most significant asset in any organization. It's not the things you own, it's the brains of your people. And talent development is the process of amplifying the performance of those brains. I love that we are finally coming into that. So the reason why it is such an important thing is that today's organizations need their people to constantly grow. It's one of the most important things. In fact, we mentioned on an earlier show that it's really the three big things on what drives performance are alignment, relationship, and development, the big word, development. So talent development is the process of helping employees maximize their potential, show up in a really big way, and do great things for a company.
Yeah. You've written 2 books on this subject and have really invested a lot in this field, right? And I'd love your perspective in terms of what are employers really looking for from individuals who are in talent development? What skills, what strengths, capabilities?
The biggest thing I found in my career, and the reason why I mentioned that or start in that way is that I've had lots of jobs, but the career, the thread that's run through everything has always been around learning, education, teaching. So I wonder if that creates part of our discussion, you know, that a lot of what we think about in talent development is the process of education. And what organizations are looking for from people who can do this well are that they have a robust set of skills themselves. And the skills are not only in the method of delivery, how do I get someone to learn? The whole principles of andragogy, they call it,
right,
the way an adult learns, that they need to know that. But they have a robust box of skills themselves that they can help the employee learn in. So part of it's skills, but the other part of talent development is just someone who is more mindful, more aware, more tuned in about what's going on in the organization. They pay attention on purpose so they can then provide solutions to things that maybe we haven't seen before. So sometimes we think talent development is only about a course, but it might be a culture change. It might be in a change in the way that managers interact with employees. It might be an approach that an employee needs to step up and own themselves. So there's a lot of different things. So a really effective person in talent development, a career of talent development, is somebody who's tuned in, watching for ways to help the organization get better.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious, you know, just looking at what they're looking for from individuals in this industry, you know, what might a typical career path look like? I mean, we have some people who are, you know, maybe in different parts of the organization who are saying, wow, I'd love to do more of this, you know, which we call talent development today. You may have somebody that's in college that really isn't even familiar with the word talent development yet.
Right.
You know, what might a career path look like?
Well, so part of it, I don't want to put a box on it because it needs to be a little bit fluid. But there are options, and I think the options go in a couple of conventional ways and a couple of non-conventional ways. And the conventional ways are true educators. And part of my career, I was a corporate educator for about 15 years for a pretty large company. And our job as talent developers at that point was to understand what went on in the workplace, create the response so that performance kept improving. So the career path was educator, director of education, course writers, all of these things kind of go in that. So if you have any kind of love on changing the way people think, if teaching itself is something that's really, that pulls at you, those are things that start to lean you into these kinds of fields. So those are pretty conventional looking things. And there's a lot of that still.
Right.
Most organizations still have an OD department, they have an education department, they have directors of education. These are people whose intention is to raise the performance power of the organization. So there is a long-term career in any of that. I find, having been in that the thing that I liked most about it was the diversity of my audience all the time, that I always had employees learning new things, different things. So it kept everything fresh for me. And my love, that thread that we were talking about, that one thing that ran through all the careers, was watching somebody improve. That, you know, if that's your thing,
love it.
Then yeah. So this is kind of our thing on.
Yes.
So I guess I'm throwing that out to your viewers. If that's something that pulls you, then there's a huge career path in this. But that's what the conventional ones look like. So let's step into the unconventional. So I'm a coach, a certified professional coach. That is a total development career. Everybody I work with, my intention with them all the time is to help them be better in the next moment than they were in the moment before. So the process of talent development is one that moves not just in the workplace. So I certainly could do it in the workplace. I can do it outside of the workplace for the workplace. I can step on the outside and reach in. But what if your calling is to be a really great parent? Well, isn't a big part of raising kids all about talent development? How do I help you figure out who you are? How do you figure out what your unique components are, and how do you get better every day? That conversation is something that I would love us not to think as conventional. So let me throw one more out. So there is, within the workplace and outside of the workplace, people like coaches, consultants that work with organizations, all about the learning and the driving of people towards potential. The other one that I think most people miss when they think about talent development is today's managers. We frequently think that talent development means education, but a big part of today's employee development, of today's talent development, is in the daily conversations that management has with the employees. And every part of it, as I do this image all the time, just pulling you along a little bit in each way. And the reason that we do that is that we know that people have to learn in the moment. That sending people off to class, yes, some topics work really well, but most of what they need to learn is happening to them right now. And the glue, the stickiness of the learning happens in this moment, not in manuals and manuals and manuals. So though there's a conventional piece, there's an unconventional piece, and the part that I would like most people to realize that any place in your career is a place for talent development. If you manage anybody for any reason, if you manage your kids, if you are raising kids, you're in a relationship, you are in some form of talent development all the time. How do I help you be better in the next moment than you are in this moment?
Yeah, that's perfect. And I really love the fact that the one that's thought of the least is when you're in that manager role.
Yeah.
In working with managers, I often hear them say, I'm not really good at that. I don't know how to have that career conversation. You know, that's a difficult spot for me. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for somebody that really is excited and in fact, I know when you work with a lot of senior level managers, they seem to get it right. They seem to be more invested in thinking about how they can develop their people. You know, they've moved up through the ranks and
well, they get that that's the toggle for performance.
Right.
You know, this whole thing is about how do I help you tap into what it is that you're best at, because your work in that space will be far better than if I don't help you with that.
That's right. And it's going to impact that bottom line. A lot of data on that.
Yeah, so the entire process of talent development is a bottom line based conversation. Great if we do it just because we care about our people, and we should care about our people. But the real reason why we do it is we want you to perform at your best, whatever that looks like. And in a world that constantly changes, and you know, where the pace of change is so significant, if you're not formally learning, you're already going backwards. So every organization must have talent development or strength development or skill development. I'll even throw that in there. But some perpetual development, some conversation that goes on all the time, because you can't stand still in today's world. Maybe you could at some other point, though I don't even know if you could. But in today's world, certainly you can't.
Right.
So what do you want to learn? What do you need? How do you tap into what's best in you? And when you did that, you changed. You became engaged, excited, passionate about what you do. Well, you brought that to the workplace. And then you did great things for customers, and you did great things for other employees, and you drove the results up. And you stayed when other people are leaving. Why did you stay? Well, because we paid attention to you, and we developed you and built a relationship with you and helped you feel like you are really talented.
Yeah, and the rewards were there,
Yeah.
right? Knowing that they can make they're making a greater contribution, you know, and that gets rewarded in many other ways. Yeah.
There's another statement we were talking in the last time we spoke about millennials. Just one of the things that shows often in the conversation about millennials is that of all the cohorts that are out there, this one is really aware of purpose. They want to do something meaningful. So the process of figuring out, how do I work in an organization that makes a difference? And they do that by seeing that the difference that they make is with customers, possibly, but that management makes the difference with them. And that's the part that is enough to toggle that switch from, hey, I don't think I'll stay, to, I have no reason to leave. Everything I need, I have here. And the only reason I was leaving before is that it didn't fit me, but this fits me. And you pay attention, and I'm learning, and okay, so now we know what the solution is, and we know that the good thing is there isn't a job out there now that doesn't have some component of talent development in it. So everybody's going to be a talent developer at some point. What path do you want? What if you just said, what path do I want to be in an organization, and I should also be a talent developer? My own, and then for others on my team as well.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like, my original background, I was a financial guy, a CPA, and realized that though that wasn't my favorite career, which is why I do all this work now about finding your fit and, you know, showing up big to the things that are yours and not listening to the outside voices so much. Accounting and numbers and financials are the gatekeeper, the scoring on the quality of your decision. So everybody should know how to use the numbers in an organization. Well, it's the same thing with talent. Everybody should know how to develop talent. It's one of the most fundamental things in any business. So your career path, wherever it is, could be as focused as talent development specifically. It also could be more whatever your career path is. Add accounting and understanding financials, and add talent development to it. Learn how people learn. Learn how to be a coach, to ask questions, to listen, to observe, to guide. Do those kind of things, and the way you will show up will be the reason why you will keep propelling yourself in your career.
Yeah. Curious, let's take it a little different direction. Curious about what might be some of the typical gaps that you see in individuals that you are working with in organizations who specialize in talent development.
The biggest one, and it could lead to a bigger discussion, and you tell me if you want to go there, is on mindfulness. That I find that the gap is the people who are in talent development are pretty self-unaware. They don't even know what their own abilities are. So how are you going to be able to lean, guide, support, coach somebody into developing theirs when you don't know yours? So how do we help them become more mindful, more aware? And there's two great definitions that I really like.
I was going to say, tell us a little bit more about mindfulness and contrast that with awareness, because I'm hearing both terms, and I want to make certain our viewers really get it.
Okay. I think they're different. Some people use them interchangeably, but I think awareness is paying attention on purpose in the present moment without any judgment. Could I just see what's really going on? And that takes effort to do. But so could we be aware? Mindfulness is the purposeful action you do because you're aware. So mindfulness is seeking out, creating, acting on things that you saw when you were aware. Right. Mindful is paying attention on purpose and using the information you get to make the next moment more effective.
I think that's key, that it's taking action.
It is.
It moves, that's the ultimate move towards action.
Right, so self-awareness, that's awareness, that isn't always about action.
Right.
But being mindful about how you choose what you do because you're self-aware leads you to decisions that really make a lot of sense. But the precursor to it is you have to be self-aware. Right. That process is what I find is missing I find it missing in most roles in the organization, but it's particularly dangerous missing on the talent development side, because talent requires awareness. So if you're not even aware, then how are you helping everybody discover, develop, and use what their talents are if you don't know how to have this conversation?
Yeah, so what are some of the suggestions that you have for filling that gap?
When we coach, we share with everybody a mindfulness formula, 5 quick little words. Can I share that with you?
Please do.
The 5 words are stop, notice, consider, choose, act. Stop means interrupt your habit. I've got to get out of doing the things I always do, because when I do what I always do, I don't even notice. I drive to work, get to work, don't even realize I was any part of the ride, didn't remember any part of it. All of a sudden, poof, I'm here at work. How did that happen? I didn't interrupt any of my habits. So stop means interrupt your habits. Now you are available to notice. Word number 2. In noticing, what comes up? What do you see? And when we talk about guiding and talent development, we generally talk about noticing 2 things, not what's good or bad, not what's right or wrong, what's working and not working. Because remember, said the definition of awareness is to be present in the current moment without judgment. So if I'm going to be in talent development, I can't have it. Ideally, I don't have any judgment about what I see. I just want you to be better, which means could I help you notice what's working and not working in your performance? If it's working, the next word, consider, stop, so you can notice so you can consider. Consider, how do I do more of what's working? Consider, how do I fix what's not working? Now I have all these ideas. Then I choose. Then I act. Try these 5 little words. Stop, notice, consider, choose, act. I put it in the fundamental we have a fundamentals manual I use with all my executive coaching clients. And that's the first thing we start with. Any conversation we're going to have, I need you to be totally present, noticing things and open to considering options. If you're already closed or you're not even seeing things, then this conversation will not be anywhere near as robust as it needs to be.
Creates that curious state, doesn't it?
That's right, that's right. And that, I think, is a critical component of any talent development person role, whether you're a manager, whether you're actually in formal talent development or OD, or whether you're a coach. The requirement is you're present and you help the people you deal with. First get present, notice what they've got, then develop the things that are their strengths.
So remaining current, I think, in this field, thinking about being in talent development, whatever role one is in, what are some of the suggestions or ways that you feel people can maintain a level of currency?
The mindfulness formula is the first thing that we do.
Right.
The second thing that we talk about is communication styles. Because, great, I want to develop you, but if I don't know how we communicate, already I'm missing the point. The third one, it's a really important one, it's performance energy. The way that you choose to show up to the events. Are you in victim mode? Are you fighting with things? Are you optimistic and focused on a win-win solution? All of those are different levels of energy. In the absence of knowing where you show up, you sometimes go right back into your habits, and now the solution that you need to come up with, or your own personal growth, you haven't grown at all. So I think the things that I would encourage a coach to then do with their clients are the things that I would have, talent development people do. Become more mindful yourself, develop your own internal practice. We call it the toolbox. What are the tools that you pull out to make sure you are present, tuned in, paying attention, and developing yourself? And when you figure this out, now you have all this information that whomever you're dealing with, whether you're a parent and you're dealing with your kids, whether you're a manager dealing with an employee, whether you're the instructor in a class full of people who come in with different talents, different communication styles, different levels of energy, do you even know what they are to know how to manage it so that you can maximize the impact? That's what we call a stop and notice moment. If I could stop and notice that I have a real diverse group here, then what I want to do is consider what would be the best thing that I could do in order to make sure that learning happens here. If I don't even stop and notice, then I do what I was planning on doing without any awareness of what's actually going on.
Yeah, I think that's really a critical piece. If I'm in talent development, how can I help others grow and develop if I'm not even self-aware enough to know what drives me, what motivates me, what my strengths are, what my true capabilities and gifts are, right?
Right. I don't even know the questions to ask
That's
because
it.
they're not even my questions. I
Right.
don't even know what I don't even know.
Right.
And so the awareness part is the first one. If you want to play in this arena,
Yeah.
and that isn't to say, look, there's an entrance fee to do it. Well, yes, there is. The good news is you need it anyway.
Yeah.
You should be doing it anyway.
That's it.
This is the best thing that's happened about this shift in economies,
Right.
is that we have brought into main view and public awareness that it is right to be tuned in, paying attention, because of the information you need to make your next moment better comes from what you gather in this moment. And most of us have been so tuned out by doing the same thing over and over again that we miss all these opportunities and we miss the ability to actually develop ourselves in the biggest and best way. And we move through life a third, a half, a quarter of who we are. And this workplace said, look, when you moved from running machines, pulling levers behind machines, to being face-to-face where you couldn't bluff it anymore, if you're not good at the job and you don't like it, everybody knows it, so you better know yourself, put yourself in the right job. It made mindfulness, paying attention, awareness, a critical part of getting hired in a job that fits you. I love that because we needed to do it anyway in order to show up big to our own lives.
That's it. That's it. What are some other tools that come to mind? Mindfulness, I think, would be in that tool box, right?
That's right. So there are tools on the internet now of assessments that, again, help create the awareness of who somebody is so they can be mindful enough to use it. The other things are programs. There are programs out there that take the complexity out of what we used to think mindfulness was and make it really simple. We teach 3 programs that just as a step-by-step process to walk somebody through who are you, here's some activities to help you figure it out. And when they do the activities, we created a worksheet for them called the All About Me. Here's the one moment where it's right to have the spotlight on you. When you do these, you're going to find out things about you. Well, put them in a place where you can create this accumulating list and start to see who you are from the inside out. In fact, we call it your inside out selfie.
Love it.
You know, everybody is so famous for doing this all the time. What if you could take a picture on the inside? What would that look like?
Right.
That's the place. That's the information that you need. So the tools that way, there are more and more of these. Assessments are a great foundational tool. Lots of different types, depending on what you want to find out. The other tools are programs, education, all the things that you would want your employees to go through are things you go through first to find out, how do I want to interpret that for the way my group would use it? And that creates not only your own learning, but think of the personalization that you then get to pull that into the organization. That's the way that you make mindfulness practical. And it gets rid of some of the stigma around that it's really all about sitting back and closing your eyes. And yes, I mean, that's okay too. Because whatever it takes for you to pay attention to the answers that are on the inside, you need to do that.
So let's move the conversation along a little bit because we've got about 5 minutes or so. And there's a couple questions I'm really curious, and I want the viewers to get the advantage of your knowledge and expertise. Great. And the first question that really is around trends. What are some of the trends that you think are important for talent development professionals to really be paying attention to, or even somebody that might be in college thinking about moving into this? What should they be paying attention to? Because it's likely that trend is going to impact what they do and how they do it.
Yeah, the biggest one is coaching.
Yeah.
You will start to see majors in coaching. You will start to see more and more programs in coaching. You'll start to see fundamental training for all personnel and organizations to go through coaching. It isn't just for the talent development people. It's a way of thinking and seeing and engaging that is about pulling the best from somebody. And that's really what talent development is all about, right?
That's right.
That's where I'm seeing that coaching is going to be. That fundamental to all talent development, to all performance, is going to be this unique way of getting the person to notice and do their own things instead of me doing their work for them. Yeah. And that, I think, is going to be that's where the big trend is. The good thing, many of us have thought this for a while, but they have great empirical evidence that says this is the path that's going to be on. We know that. To move a disengaged employee, here's a couple of really alarming statistics, 70% of employees are disengaged in the workplace.
Yes, that is alarming.
Yep, and it's been that way for 20 years, and we spend $1 billion a year trying to fix it, and we have not done it. And so the shift, and if we could listen to today's younger generations who are louder about what they need, they would remind us that the biggest thing that we need to do is to change our relationship with them. And they need not managers, they need coaches. They need someone who can engage, support, let them think, let them activate their own brain. Great expression that I heard, and we say the same thing when it comes to parenting too. When you ask somebody a question instead of tell them what to do, you help them take their brain out for a spin. Many times we don't even know what our talents are because we haven't used them yet. The world tells us all the time. Teachers tell, parents tell, everybody tells. What if you asked? What if your approach was much more interrogative, much more question-based? And if you did, you would find that you pulled the other person in, and this action of pulling them in, that's what talent development's about. So where's it headed? It's headed in a process that allows you to interact with anybody, not just your talent, but what if you had a talent conversation around with a customer? The information that would gather by throwing the questions back and helping them see where their greatest strengths are could improve this entire relationship you have. So the thread, again, I'm always looking for threads. What's the thing that runs through everything? I think you're going to see it's coaching.
And I love that because I think that that is so spot on.
That's
well,
what
Jay,
I think it's
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Great, informative. Anyone interested in careers and talent development, going to learn a lot here.
Good.
So, thank you for watching, and remember, be career happy.
More information about this program is available online at millermediagroup.org.